Everyone knows we got this huge fight coming up this weekend between Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker. But it seems like Deontay Wilder has kind of stole the thunder away from Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, and Eddie Hearn, because a lot of these questions that are being asked about Deontay Wilder more so than Joseph Parker. And we all know about the whole controversy about Deontay Wilder being invited by Sky to go down to this fight this weekend. And he was originally slated to go down there and he agreed to it. But Anthony Joshua had said that if he comes down here, he doesn't want him in the ring. So now Eddie Hearn seems to be very upset about this. He turns around and says, well, you know, this would have been great for promotion. This would have been great for Deontay Wilder. It would have sparked interest in the fight. But on the other hand, you had Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn saying, well, there's no reason for Deontay Wilder to go in the ring when he's down there because there's no fight signed. So why create hype for no reason? So if this would have been great for promoting and hyping up the fight, Eddie, then why did you downplay the whole situation about him being there in the first place by saying, well, a fight hasn't been signed, there's no reason for them to face off? And then in an interview earlier today, he even admitted, or didn't admit, but he didn't deny. So I correct myself. He didn't admit, but he didn't deny when it was said to him, well, I heard that there was extra security in place because if Deontay Wilder did go down there, it would, you know, they would prevent him from entering the room. So essentially they hired extra security, and I'm not going to say they put a restraining order against Deontay Wilder, but there was a plan in place for him to be stopped by security if he did decide to go into the ring. So now all of a sudden, you know, Eddie Hearn is changing the story once again. Well, you know, we had a press conference scheduled. Oh, well, we didn't say he couldn't go in the ring per se. We just said that he, you know, couldn't go in the ring without Anthony Joshua asking him to go in the ring, and he most certainly would have asked him to go in the ring after the fight. So the story just keeps changing. So if the fight wasn't signed and you didn't want to create hype for an event that you said, you know, wasn't definitively taking place, why would you schedule a press conference? Why would you say I had a press conference scheduled? And did you tell Deontay Wilder, hey, if you come down here, we'll schedule a press conference to announce what's going to happen in the future between you and Joshua, you and Dillian Whyte? Nothing was said. At least it seems to me that we were led to believe that nothing was said because Deontay Wilder would have mentioned it. So what were you going to do? Surprise him? All of a sudden, okay, we're going to have a press conference scheduled. So again, you know, other channels have said that this was a setup. And, you know, the evidence is kind of piling in that direction that, yeah, this was a setup. So he was going to go down there and be, you know, put on the spot with a press conference unknowingly. So how is he supposed to prepare himself to be at a press conference if he doesn't know it's going to happen? And why would it be scheduled again if there was no fight or future plans in place? Because, Eddie, you said that you have not spoken to the team. You've sent messages to them to try to create a dialogue, so you say, to get this fight signed, and you said that they haven't responded. So then why would you go ahead, regardless of all that, and schedule a press conference, number one? And number two, why are you so angry now that Deontay Wilder isn't going down there? Why should he go down there basically to suit your needs, to help you out in what you want to do? What is he getting in return by going down there? So that's just, you know, the gist of the situation. You know, the story keeps changing as things go along, and you not denying that there was security in place that was hired specifically to keep him out of the ring, that just in itself says to me that creates kind of a hostile environment. So if this was supposed to be so cordial, then why would you have to hire security and extra people there to keep him out of the ring. So already you're painting a very murky picture because you're saying things now that weren't being said before. And on top of all that, you're trying to criticize Deontay Wilder for making a stupid move by not going down there. But the funny thing about it is when you listen to all these interviews on YouTube and you hear all these boxing pundits speak, they're talking more about Wilder than they are about Parker. This is becoming more of a story, or it's starting to steal a lot of the thunder away from the event itself. This is becoming the story. So by Deontay Wilder not going down there, he's getting free press because in every interview you have to talk about why he didn't go down there. And in each and every one of these interviews, you seem to be revealing more and more information, allegedly, supposedly, that we didn't know about before. It seems as though you're making it up as we go along, or as you go along, I should say. So it's kind of hard to take Eddie Hearn's word for anything because some of the things he says or is saying now just doesn't seem to add up, man. So you had a press conference scheduled. When were you going to tell Deontay Wilder that? You had a press conference scheduled. What was it about? If there was no formal talks about this fight being made or any fighter from your stable fighting Deontay Wilder. Basically what this was you wanted Deontay Wilder to go down there so you could have Dillian Whyte go up in his face, and you wanted to create drama between Dillian Whyte and Deontay Wilder, but you don't want there to be drama and hype with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. So that's the thing. You're hoping and praying that Dillian Whyte fights Deontay Wilder, and you're crossing your fingers that he wins so Anthony Joshua doesn't have to fight Deontay Wilder. So you are throwing a roadblock, in between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And that's not what the people want. The majority of the people out there want to see this fight. So to me, this was not a bad move by Deontay Wilder not going down there, because as it turns out, he's still being talked about, and Eddie Hearn seems to be upset. He's frustrated. I think Deontay Wilder actually rattled him and got under his skin by not doing this, because this is all about control. This is all about control. Eddie Hearn wants to be in control of the situation. Deontay Wilder and his team are not allowing that to happen, so Eddie Hearn is frustrated. Anthony Joshua, he's also said a lot of conflicting statements. No fighter wants to lose. In the back of everyone's mind, we all have doubt. We all have doubt. It's like when you go into a job interview and you're being asked questions and you're being told what the job entails. You have fiduciary responsibility to that company to make money. Deep down inside, we all have that fear of failing. So you have that fear of, what if I make the wrong move and I get the job and I make the wrong move and I don't make the company money, or I end up losing the company money. Are you going to sit there in that interview and reveal that to your employer that, hey, I'm afraid, I'm concerned I may fail? No, you're supposed to exude confidence. You're supposed to tell that employer and sell to that employer that you can succeed. We don't need to know that Anthony Joshua is afraid to lose. He doesn't need to tell us that. So if you come out in the public and say, I'm afraid to lose, and the one person out there that is the biggest threat to you losing is Deontay Wilder, then essentially you're admitting that you have some sort of apprehension towards that individual. And that's not me calling anyone a coward. That's not me saying, nah, you're afraid of this guy, you're this, you're that. You're revealing this to me. You're revealing this to the public. And you're not supposed to, that's supposed to be deep down inside in the back of your mind, that you're not supposed to allow that to rise to the forefront. You're supposed to keep that in the back of your mind. Heavyweight champions are not supposed to say, I'm afraid of losing. They're not supposed to say that. They're supposed to say, I can't lose. All right? I can't lose. So Deontay Wilder is acting more like the heavyweight champion because he's the confident one. He's the one that is not talking about money. He's not talking about the business. He's not talking about getting extra security to keep this guy away from me. So if Anthony Joshua was to come to a Deontay Wilder fight, because Tyson Fury came to a Deontay Wilder fight, and Deontay Wilder didn't have security to keep him out of the ring. You know, Luis Ortiz was not told he couldn't go in the ring after a Deontay Wilder fight. So that's the thing. That's the thing. Anthony Joshua, over these last couple of months, has really revealed a side to him that is not really admirable, and it's not going to win you any points with the boxing fans. You know, you could be the biggest fighter in the world over in the UK, and that's great. And you could be happy making what you're making go over there. But let's be honest. Lennox Lewis came over here and became a crossover star. He fought Mike Tyson. That was a huge fight at that time. So Eddie Hearn's sitting there saying, well, you know, I could make Deontay Wilder a bigger star than he already is. Why wouldn't you want to make Anthony Joshua a bigger star than he already is? Even though he is a big star right now, by having him cross over and be a crossover star and coming and winning over the American fans, why not get all of us? Why not get everyone out there? Why not get everyone out there instead of just being satisfied getting the British fans and the UK fans? Why not try to win over the American fans as well? And that can only make Anthony Joshua greater. It can make him even bigger than what he is. It can make him Floyd Mayweather level if he was able to win us over. So, you know, Eddie Hearn is being very critical of Deontay Wilder, and everybody wants to count Deontay Wilder's pockets. But is that really our job? Are we part of Deontay Wilder's team? Do we get a cut of anything? Do we have fiduciary responsibility? You know, it's getting really, really sad. And I've been guilty of this in the past, and I swear to people now that I'm going to make a concerted effort to really stop talking about the financial side of boxing, to really stop talking about A side, B side bullshit. I'm just going to look at the two fighters, and I'm going to look at the styles, and I'm going to just break down just focus on the boxing aspect of the sport, man. I'm tired of this financial stuff, because when we watch basketball games and watch football games, and you're listening to the commentators talk, or you're listening to basketball players being interviewed and football players being interviewed, they're not being asked questions about their salaries all the time. They're not being asked questions about who's the star team and who's not the star team. It's all about who's going to win and why and who is better. And that's what this is about. That's what this is about. And that's what's being lost in the translation here. So I think Deontay Wilder is winning this psychological battle with Eddie Hearn. He's winning this psychological battle with Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua seems to be frustrated right now going into this Joseph Parker fight. He seems to be upset that Team Parker is questioning his psychological makeup. They're saying that he's not as mentally strong as Joseph Parker. They're saying he doesn't have as great a chin as Joseph Parker. All these things are visibly upsetting Anthony Joshua. You could see it because he's acting out of pocket right now. And, he's showing a real chink in his armor that you can get in his head. And I think Deontay Wilder has gotten his head, because there are people out there. There is a debate now on who is the real heavyweight champion. So you have one guy who says he's the real deal, and you have another guy who says he's the real deal. So I think Anthony Joshua doesn't like the fact that Deontay Wilder is basically, in a lot of people's opinions, being thought of as the one guy that can beat him. He's being thought of as the man in some people's opinion. Anthony Joshua doesn't like that. I think this is all about control. You know, the fight is starts before the first bell even rings, and we've said this many times. It's a cliche in the sport of boxing that this sport is mental, and you know, during negotiations for a fight, fighters are looking for every edge they can get, and I think Anthony Joshua feels as though that he's on pretty close to even footing when it comes to Deontay Wilder. He knows that's his biggest threat, whether he wants to admit it or not. He knows that's his biggest threat right now. And this guy is dangerous, Deontay Wilder. I've been the biggest Deontay Wilder critic, but at the end of the day, he could be losing every minute of every round of a fight and just land that one right hand and the fight is over. We've seen it happen several times. We could sit there and criticize his technique, his style, all we want. But he is the hardest puncher in this division, in my opinion, unquestionably. And at the end of the day, you could be doing everything right as an opponent against him and just make that one small mistake and the fight is over. Anthony Joshua knows that. He knows that, and Eddie Hearn knows that. You know, so they're saying, send us an offer. Well, Eddie, how many offers have you sent them? So by the onus being strictly on Team Wilder, that's telling us that Team Joshua is not interested in this fight. How much of an effort has Team Joshua made to try to make this fight? Has any contract or any offer or any verbal agreement been sent over to Team Wilder? Has any conversations been made with Al Heyman? That's the question that Eddie Hearn has to answer. No one's asking Eddie Hearn these questions. When people are interviewing Eddie Hearn, why aren't they asking him, well, what have you done? What deal have you sent over? Because if you're sitting there saying you're the A side and you guys want to be in control of the situation, then shouldn't you guys be the one sending over the offers? Shouldn't you guys be the one making the deals? That's the question that I have to ask, and it's not being asked. Okay? So Eddie Hearn, it's so funny that you're saying this is a PR blunder on Deontay Wilder's behalf. But I've watched a lot of interviews today, seen a lot of YouTube videos today, seen you being interviewed a lot today, and every single person keeps talking about Wilder, more so than Joseph Parker. So I think Wilder's getting free press by not even being there. By him not going down there, it's more of a story than him being there. Because everyone's saying, why isn't he there? Why isn't he there? And all the UK people seem to be salty. Johnny Nelson sitting there crying that oh, this was a horrible move, blah, 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 blah. But yet you keep talking about it. You keep talking about it. You keep complaining about it. And it's gonna be a big talking point the whole weekend. Trust me. Trust me. Because he won. Because you snapped your fingers, Eddie Hearn, and you expected him to just be at your beck and call. Because make no mistake about it, you know, you're trying to get Deontay Wilder to sign with you. And you're very open about it. You know, you're very open about it. You're not trying to hide that 1 ounce. So, you know, we all know what this is about. You're not fooling anybody. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if this is a distraction to Anthony Joshua come Saturday. We'll see what happens Sunday morning. And we'll see if this fight is going to be as one-sided as people think, man. We'll see if this fight is going to be as one-sided as people think. But I'm happy that Deontay Wilder did not go down there. I think Deontay Wilder made a statement that, you know what, we got to get rid of this A side, B side BS in the sport of boxing. I understand that there's the business side of the sport, but at the end of the day, everybody wants this fight. Okay? This is the best fight that could be made in boxing, in my opinion. So to sit there and try to downplay it, and you can sit there and say that, you know, this is going to be the biggest payday of Deontay Wilder's career. It's also what would be the biggest payday of AJ's career. So make no mistake about it. This is a win-win for everybody. So Eddie Hearn is putting out the perception that, you know, this is all going to be a favor to Deontay Wilder. We're doing him a favor by fighting him. But at the end of the day, I think as time goes on, this is only going to make AJ look bad the longer and longer it takes to make this fight, because people are going to say, you know, why can't this fight get done? Why can't this fight be made? Because we see how he's responding to reporters, people in the press, very dismissive when it comes to Deontay Wilder. He's not really convincing. Deontay Wilder is very adamant about how he wants to fight AJ. AJ is not reciprocating those same type of emotions or attitude. And neither is Eddie Hearn. It's pretty easy to see that, guys. It's pretty easy to see that. Anyone who doesn't see that, I think they're being very disingenuous. So, I don't know, man. That's all I got to say about the topic. It's pretty evident what's going on here. I think we got to be real about the situation. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be AJ fans, there's going to be Wilder fans, but let's really be objective about the situation and talk about it and call it for what it is. I think Deontay Wilder won the first round in the war of the psychological battle in this whole ordeal right now. I think he's winning the fight right now. I think he's in their heads, and I think they know it. And Eddie Hearn is rattled. He's upset. He's red-faced. He's, you know, actually mimicking and really acting childish now when he's being interviewed and talking about Deontay Wilder. And it's just not a good look. It's not a good look in my opinion, man. It's not a good look. All right, guys, that's all I got to say, man. Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.